pit stops, the driver did pretty good too. Made one mistake, but he made up for it, so that's good. And ultimately be able to be in victory lane. You don't have days like that are so close to perfect. That doesn't happen very often in our sport. So, like I said, I'm very proud of the effort that we've had really the last few weeks, but from the execution side. But this time we had the speed and had the execution going along with it, and that's what really paid off today. And ultimately, getting a Ford and bringing a Mustang into victory lane for the first time at Michigan. So very, very proud and honored to be the guy that's bringing a car like that into victory lane for the first time at a racetrack that's in their backyard.
Matt right here.
Matt Weaver, Auto Week. I've got two for you, Joey. First of all, you didn't seem to have the challenge that a lot of guys did when they were running second. They just get stuck behind you and could not break through that wall of air. What was it like for you, and how were you able to do what they weren't?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot that goes into it. It's if it was one thing, it would be pretty simple, right? But it's not. It takes the car. It takes the spotter and driver being on the same page. It takes just everyone really understanding what's happening around you at that moment. And there's times that certain cars just can't do what we did today. Right? We had a great car that was able to allowed me to execute moves and actually be successful with them. Sometimes you have a car where you can make these moves, but you can't successfully pull them off. And then that's when you never get there, right? That's when you run 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th of those cars. They just can't get there. We've all been there, but today I had a car that was able to do it, and we took advantage of that.
And secondly, Kurt, Kyle, and Martin all said that you had jumped the final restart. From your vantage point, how did you feel about that?
Well, I was able to see it right in front of me. I hit it when I got there. Had a good start, though, wasn't it? That was a good one. That one felt good. Yeah.
Taylor DeSormo with MLive.com. Kurt actually said he was a little disappointed to see the caution with the last couple laps to go. Were you more nervous when they were reeling you in before the caution, or do you think you had a better chance with the caution flag coming out?
I felt like we were in great shape before the caution came out. I thought that was where I wanted to be. Those two cars behind me, 19, nothing against them, but his car didn't handle very well. I can tell from behind me that he was not going to be able to pull off a move to pass me. I didn't think, without a lot of help from the one at some point. And I didn't think that was going to happen in a couple laps. So I felt pretty confident I was in good shape there. And then the caution comes out, and to be honest with you, as the leader, you're like, right? But the race fan part of me is like, heck yeah, this is going to be a great race for everyone to watch. And so I'm glad it worked out for both of us. I was able to, we were able to win the race, and then, the fans were able to get something really exciting there at the end. Not that it wasn't an exciting race. There's a lot going on and a lot of moving around there on the racetrack.
Go to Eric in the back right there.
Eric Young with the superspeedway.com. Joey, I checked into your radio a little bit during the race and was listening to TJ giving you directions, talking about what the guys were doing behind you. Kind of sounded more like a restrictor plate race than maybe a normal Michigan race. How big of a role did TJ play in the victory today for you?
A big amount. Yeah, really big amount. He's great. He's a great spotter. We're fortunate to be able to work with him. And that chemistry that we have when we're on the radio. I know what he's saying. I know what it means. There's some lingo that goes along with that. It just took us some time to figure it all out. But, I can really pretty much close my eyes and know what's going on. I can re-listen to the race and know exactly what was happening without seeing it. And that's his job, right? He's a visual communication expert, is what I say. And he does a dang good job at it. So, super important to get all the information of what's going on around me. Whether it's, under caution, telling me what has happened on other restarts, what's going on as far as cars behind me in the moment, even sometimes what's going on in front of you. 'Cause you can't see much. You got these big spoilers on it. Remember, when you're tucked up right on somebody, you can't see through the car to see what's going on in front of that person. So when you're tucked up tight onto another car in front of you, he's spotting in front of me what's happening there. So there's just so much. He said he went through 3 batteries today. He probably did. He was definitely on that button a lot.
We'll go to Bob right here.
Bob Hockers, Fox Sports. I have a couple. On like a final restart, do you base what you do based on who is around you, or do you base it more on kind of what your car is good at that point in the race?
Yes. A little bit of both. You know the strengths in your car and what you can and can't do with it. And then we've had plenty of restarts. Unfortunately, I had a lot of front row restarts from the lead and was able to kind of put some notes together of what certain cars can and can't do on restarts to get to that point. So you kind of think about that stuff and, say, okay, what gives me the best shot of securing the lead before I get to turn one? That was the goal, right? You don't want to be too wide when you get there. I wanted to be single file and being able to, lunge out there a little bit, and we were able to do that. So that was a key moment for sure.
And I have a couple more. Do you think when those guys are telling us that, hey, you went early, they're trying to influence you on the next restart?
I'm sure. I don't know. They're talking to deaf ears.
And finally, you're the first driver to win from the pole this year. I'm curious.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Is there a reason that maybe here qualifying and race trim were more similar, or is it just a matter of circumstance?
Well, it's really weird. I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of advantages to winning the pole here in Michigan. Number one being the pit stall you get. It's the best pit stall in not only this racetrack, but probably the whole sport when it comes to winning a pole here. That first pit stall is really, really good. It's really close to the camera line, which obviously puts you in what position you're in when you're leaving. So the closer it is, the faster the stall. So pretty big advantage to get it here. Then that pays rewards throughout the whole race. And we had a fast car and we kept it out front. So I think I don't know why it happened to be like that here. I actually don't know why it hasn't been like that at other racetracks, but I think when you go to this racetrack more than anywhere else this year, there was more wide open time than any other track we've gone to outside of super speedway. So it acted more like a super speedway. Speed in your car would seem to be pretty important. That compromise of how much handling you need to downforce in the car to drag. It's a tough conversation to have. It's tough to figure out. Who knows? Like they asked me earlier, if we went back to 20th, do I get back up there? Oh, I'm glad we didn't have to find out.
Any final questions for Joe? Go up the map back here.
Sorry, I've got one more. Kind of gave me an idea for a question there, talking about coming back through 20th. So say last year, if you were put in that similar situation, you could or you couldn't, whatever. But when you look at last year's package compared to this year's, what is the difference in skill set required to get to the front, stay near the front, win the race? It's
far more mentally challenging this year than it is physically challenging, in all honesty. But it's like a super speedway, right? You're not in there swatting flies as much. You're not lifting. You're not you're on the edge, right? You're using the full potential of your car, but you're not going 220 under the corner anymore, right? And you're not on edge as long of a period of time through the corner. But that being said, you have to use that mental capacity now to figure out how you race around the cars around you, right? And who's good and who's not, and what they can and can't do, what their trends are, what lanes go on restarts and don't, and how do you pass cars, and all that type of stuff has gotten far more important to figure out. Whether it's practice or in the race, you're constantly learning throughout this process, and especially right now because the rules are so new still. When we come to these racetracks like this for the first time, we still don't know, right? We don't know until we go through a whole race. And honestly, you get done with the race and you probably still have 6 or 7 new questions. You might have 4 or 5 answers, but you got a whole bunch of new questions that you still don't know, right? We're just refining it as teams, this rules package on how do we maximize what we have every week, from a driver, from a car standpoint. All of that is just, there's so much going on that honestly, our debrief sessions are longer than ever because you're just trying to figure it all out right now.
Back right there.
Hi, Joey. Mark Crystal from frontstretch.com. All three Team Penske cars finished inside the top 10. What does that say about the organization at a track like this?
Great. Good. You know, I said this earlier, when I think of key races to win, you know, I think of obviously the crown jewel events that we all probably know, and you think of Brickyard, Daytona, Darlington, those type of racetracks that really stand out. This one's next in line to me, because of Roger Penske, this being in his backyard. You always want to win at your home track. And not only that, but it's Ford's home track. And what that means to the Ford family is so big. I can't say how much they talk about how bad they want to win at this racetrack, or really in general, but particularly this racetrack, and bringing home that Heritage Trophy. That means a lot. So when you're able to be that person that delivers that for them, that's a special feeling. Maybe one of the best feelings about when you're in victory lane is being able to see your manufacturer take home that trophy. It's a really special thing that I think all three manufacturers take a lot of pride in having.
Any final questions for Joey? Thank you, Joey. Congrats again.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Have a safe trip home.